whenever we sin, whenever we overestimate our strength, we're going to experience desolations, because it's not in our best interest to have the perception of God's presence, because I'm going to think, oh, I'm great, but I'm not that great yet. So I need to experience who I am without the Lord. So I'm going to receive desolation. So we have to switch from thinking that like it's the worst thing in the world for me not to feel good in prayer, to respond generously and to welcome the dryness, and then to persevere through it onto the other side of with the Lord. So we also need to surround ourselves with people who are also on the way. Remember, we're weak. We're dependent on other people for so much. So if we're surrounding ourselves with people who are not on the way, those people are a near occasion of sin. So we need to surround ourselves with good people, people who are going to support us in our spiritual walk. Remain faithful to prayer and grow in self-knowledge. So don't lose heart when you sin, because in this phase you will sin. We need to repent, receive forgiveness, experience God's love, and then through that grow in self-knowledge. So one of the absolute necessary steps in this phase is to not stop praying. To not stop praying. And that's going to be one of the number one temptations. It's something like this. Oh, I can't pray like I did X, Y, or Z last night. I'm a terrible person. Like God's gonna smite me if I pray. I can't approach the Lord because of how bad I am. No. Probably when you're not falling into that sin, you still have all kinds of other sin. So when you're not doing whatever it is that you feel really bad about, you're probably still in a worse place than you think you are. And then when you do fall into it, the Lord wants to love on you. The Lord wants you to be present to him. So you have to persevere in prayer, daily prayer. That's number one in this phase. At this phase too, spiritual direction is highly recommended. A spiritual director is someone that can walk alongside you. Ideally, they're further along in the journey in a way, and that they have a knowledge of these ideas, then they can help you, both forming commitments that are prudent for asceticism and for your daily prayer life, and also then being able to identify desolations versus a dark night, or what's sometimes called contemplative aridity. So being able to identify the different stages. So from the third mansion, somebody is rarely committing venial sin if when they're in the third mansion. So someone in the third mansion is pretty far advanced in the spiritual life, I think, from our day-to-day perspective of people of faith. And it's coupled with a desire for penance and a capacity to remain in prayer for extended periods of time. So there's a common practice that people make called a holy hour. So somebody who is rarely committing sin, meaning you might go whole days without having any conscious sin happening, you're probably doing it like a daily holy hour or an extended period, like a half hour, 45 minutes of prayer every day faithfully. And this is for an extended period of time. We're talking years. That's probably somewhere in the realm of the third mansions. So what happens is there's an simplification of active prayer, right? So we've gone through this process of regular meditation, of forming our affections and our will and our mind to God. And more, you'll find that the prayer is simplified, where you're able to form affections and considerations without having the raw material there, whether it just be from your memory and imagination, or it actually be a direct willing of the mind up to God. So there's going to be an active, simple prayer that will start to form in the person. And there's a need in this period to do penance and works of charity, to continue to persevere in prayer like the previous stages. But what primarily prevents growth is humility. Right? What the enemy is going to try to do when you're in this phase is make you think you've already arrived, make you mistake your normal consolations for great contemplative graces, make you think that you're really great, and you've done some growth, so you're pretty good. But the Lord wants to work such a greater work in your heart. So the key need is humility. Understanding who you are and the truth in light of God, meaning growing in the capacity to receive humiliations, right? When something happens that isn't right, isn't just, someone makes fun of you, you lose an opportunity, somebody passes over you, moving to try to form a more generous response to those things, a grateful response, because we need to be humbled. And with it too, pride can lurk deep in the heart. Meaning we can do very spiritual, very good things, but that at the base have a selfish motivation still. So weeding out of this pride, this deep hidden spiritual pride, is key.